Hello, everyone. Joe Lewis here. You know, normally we come right in on a song that usually, you know, sets tone. But lately, various entities don't like the fact that we borrow or leverage um, the songs, so we get nasty letters, and then you know what happens after a while? They realize that we don't make any money, and then they okay it. I don't understand.
So there's not going to be no music?
I don't know what to do. I mean,
But it's just the tone. It makes everybody get all ready, and it's fun, and they learn things too.
well, that's true. I mean, it does start a conversation.
But it's that's it. I'm taking over.
What?
I'm taking over. I'm going to hunt the studio, and
Oh.
I am taking over because this cannot be done.
What?
No.
I don't have any controls anymore.
It's Oktoberfest.
Uh,
It's Oktoberfest. We got a party. That's
well, if only I had a beer. Oh, thanks. See, ask and you shall receive. I got a beer. You people out there might want to think about getting a beverage. Remind me.
in him gibt's kein Bier. Zum Trinken will es hier. Denn sind wir nicht mehr hier.
You know,
And thinking the beer. I can't sing all the words. I don't know.
it makes you want to sing, right? But the thing is, I only took 2 semesters of German in high school, so I can't really translate. Since you're a native speaker, could you translate what those words mean?
Yeah.
Okay, for our American audience. Okay, here it comes, right? Gotta love good oompa. Oh, look at that. He's going down. He's shredding that tuba. Shredding.
Okay. In heaven there's no beer.
What?
That's why we drink it here.
Oh, that makes sense.
And when we're gone from here,
Yeah,
our friends will be drinking us a beer.
I
That's
guess.
the words.
more for them.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I bet in those German beer gardens, you do have to keep it simple.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. In heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it all here. All right.
Don't trinken wir es hier, denn sind wir nicht mein hier, da trinken wir unter unser Bier.
Unser beer. All right. So,
Hooray!
Opa. Oh, no, it's someone else. Hey, everyone. My name is Joe Lewis. I'm with Battle Rankings. This is Battle Rankings Live. I am joined by my lovely and talented producer, Ann. Say hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
And of course, sitting in the third chair is Panzer Ghost.
Hi!
We got Panzer Ghost here.
Dog!
Oh,
I think he's been drinking some beer already.
yes, the spirit has been hitting spirits. Okay, so let's talk about today's subject. We're going to a couple things. We're going to go over the tournaments that are coming up. We're also going to go over Masters, give you an update on Masters. Just a brief update. A couple other things that came up. And then we got our SME, our SME. Yeah. Andrew Hobson, who is going to talk about the Mission Escape. Let's bring Andrew in. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Panzer Ghost.
Yep. Stepped away.
You mean
Oh, yeah. You know, Woo!
Transmogrified or whatever.
Yeah. So we have we have a bunch of stuff going on. Now Andrew said hi to Panzer Ghost.
Oh, Panzer Ghost decided to take leave for a second.
Took leave, yeah, okay. Anyway, take leave of his senses. All right. Anyway, so let's
I'm sorry, I was getting a bottle of beer.
a bottle of beer.
I am through.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's go over. You know what? Actually, I didn't take them off of there. So Advance of Colors, they're done. So coming up in Hard Knocks games on they're doing a team Yankee 100 in Elizabethtown, Kentucky this weekend. Is it this weekend? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
HMGS in California, they're having a little con there, and the guys at SoCal, they're doing a Late War 105. On the 16th, Gamers Vault Gaming Lounge. They're doing Late War 85. They're in Delaware. And then CincyCon, 22nd and 23rd. But CincyCon.
Delaware? You said Delaware. I don't know where Delaware is.
Yeah. Hey, we're in Delaware.
Wow. Wow. You went there in Delaware?
Hey, man, it's Wayne's World.
Wow.
I've been drinking.
I didn't say so. Okay. Voss is us.
My jokes aren't so good when I'm drinking.
They're not good when you're not drinking. Anyway, so let's go with
Off the rails.
Gosh. Why Delaware? Anyway, I feel like I'm being set up. Okay, so then we got so then the Masters is the 23rd, 24th, and we're trying to put together a side tournament. The store wants to run, which I was told, hey, pick something. I said, oh, we'll make it mid-war 84 points too. El Natural, no shenanigans or twists that are in Masters, which we'll talk about here in a second. But that's on the 23rd, that's Saturday. And then you're looking at Historicon in November. They're doing a Team Yankee on Thursday of that week, and Late War Nationals, the first Nationals that we've had in a long time. Sign up. Matter of fact, if you go and if you get your tickets and you look up the information about the tournament, in there is an email, and this is the only way Battlefront knows how many people are coming. Send an email out. I should have it here. Now I'm thinking about it. Send an email, let them know that you're coming so that they could figure out how many tables to bring. They actually have room for 60. So they want to fill up as much as possible. So 40 plus would be awesome. For the first one coming back. And then the 13th is Millennium Con in Round Rock, Texas. I guess if you can't make it out of Texas, go to Millennium Con. Which, by the way, they're going to be collecting toys for Toys for Tots. And then Game Time Adventures in Newark, Ohio. That also is going to be a Toys for Tots event. And then, which is Late War 85. Also, on December 4th, I'm going to be running the Able Company Toys for Tot event. We're on 8 or 9 years running. And so that's our Toys for Tot event. We're going to be doing Late War 77 because it's the 77th anniversary. It's Battle of the Bulge. It's going to be a Bulge theme. Hope we plan to have that new book out. So it's Americans and some British and versus Germans. It's red versus blue. And I'm going to have I need to post that up and some of the uniquenesses about it because it's a bulge thing. And also a Skoda Fest on
A
the
bulge thing.
a bulge thing.
A bulge thing. Okay.
Yes, yeah, it's a Battle of Bulge.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
By
By the way, you sent an email. Did you give them the email
for
that they need to email to be in the Nationals?
no, just to basically just show up. You're in, but they want to know how many people are coming.
So who do they email?
Well, they email not me, Battlefront.
Okay.
I think it's like USA events at battlefront.com. Battlefront.com or something like that.
Is it on their website?
If you want to drive to the Historicon website, go look for Historicon, look for the event, look for tournaments. It'll get you a PDF, and on the second page of the PDF is the structure of the tournament, and both of them. Team Yankees on the left side, Flames Awards on the right side, and it tells you where to email your that you're coming in your list so they can check it out. Then also on the 4th is Skoda Fest. That's their 11th anniversary, and they're also making that the Toys for Tots. Then we have our placeholders here, Las Vegas Open. That's the 28th, 29th. And Adepticon, March 26th, 27th. Battlefront's already running that. They're planning to make that a Nationals. And this week we just began. They started bouncing some ideas off of me about what they want to do, and so I'm giving my opinion on stuff. And so that should be interesting. But yeah, anyway, so we got that stuff going. I know there's a couple more things going out there. I was seeing through. I just need to get them on the list here. If you want your tournament listed, probably the best thing to do is just email me so I have it. Because the worst thing that happens is like at lunch, I'm be scrolling through my phone and I see a tournament. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, tournament. And then when I get home, where I have all this to put together, I can't find it because that's just the nature of Facebook. So it's easier to email.
Or message you.
Or message, or send something that it's permanent, so I'm not losing it. Though some say I have lost it.
Anyway. Well, I've lived here 24 years. Yes.
Yes.
Case.
Well, so ready for some Masters update information?
Masters.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Masters.
Yes. Here it comes. Well, first of all, I goofed up something, and Andrew, you didn't notice.
No,
I did. What I goofed up was when I was putting together the source books, and it was everything that was open at the time of September 30th. So everything that was all the books, right? I left one off the list.
You didn't.
I did.
Oh.
And no one said anything until this afternoon when William Brown IM'd me and said, "Oh, did you leave this off on purpose?" I'm like, no. It is Red Banner.
That's where all my lists are coming from so far.
so
Once again, Andrew can't read the instructions.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I'm like, no one playing Russians, or no one reads it. But anyway, yes, Red Banner is part of the collective. So I'll send an email out to the group tonight, letting them know that it was left off accidentally. It's meant to be there. I think everything else is. One thing, I did get an answer. There was a question about command cards. And if you did a formation for a command card, Andrew, I'll take you, for example, if you're going to be doing Red Banner, you could do the BA10 formation.
Yep.
And have that one in your list. It's a card and a formation. But you don't get the. So we asked Dave, you don't get the double dip, just because it's a card, and if it's unique, you don't get 1 point for the one difference for that, and one difference for a formation. So it's just formation cards don't count as command card differences. So yeah, otherwise people could use it to double dip, and that doesn't make any sense. The Red Devils. Is not, you gotta be kidding me. Igor's asking about Red Devils. You devil.
Did you leave that one off too?
Well, hold on. I just went to the site. I'm not going to blame anything. I should have looked. I should have checked. I should have. It's all on. The buck stops on me. You know that. So I am going to go look. We should do some music here.
Reading music.
Yeah.
Poetry.
You know what I did is I basically went to Forces and just wrote down what was sitting there, and I think if you clicked Fighting First, which I'm doing now, that you guys could see, isn't it parachute the parachute companies that
We play the
Red Devils,
podcast
British
on
parachute company.
yeah. So no,
We'll use the cat music for your waiting music.
no, I got it now.
Okay.
What are there no cards for Red Devils? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder where it's at. Okay, well, I don't think they should have. They're included the armored fist in Forces. Armored Fist. Oh, I was looking the wrong place. I don't know where my doubles come from. Well, there are commandos and parachute companies in Armored Fist Force. Wow, say that a couple times fast. So no, that's fine. So no reason for them not to be there. So they're included if you wanted to do British commandos, no problems. So you got that. But the thing is, if it's a card, which I don't think they're not, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're doing a recon company or something like that, or SU 76s is the those little pretty cool Soviet things. Yeah, if you're doing the card, you don't get the double dip. That's a formation and a command card. I think the rest of it's pretty straightforward. Nothing else has changed. It's just that one question, and I'm going to have an answer to that, and I'll send it to the group. But one of the things that came up was, hey, you know what? In the master players, they were asking, hey, could you give us an example of what these lists would look like? I said, sure, it's 10:30 at night. I need to, I wake up at, 5:30 and, what the heck? I'll throw something together real quick for everybody. And so I did, because, that's the kind of, guy.
We are a needy bunch. So
you guys are. And so I whipped something together. It doesn't mean it's the best, but it's a Sherman Sherman Tank Company, another Sherman Tank Company, a Lee, a Stuart Company, armored rifle, and armored rifle. So I got 2 Shermans, 2 armored, with a Lee and a Stuart in the between there. The dots, that you see all over here, correspond to the dots running up here. Okay, so if you see a white kind of white circle, like over here, that means it's a difference between these two lists. Orange means it's a difference going the other way. And so I threw something together. I think they're actually decent lists. I don't know how they work out in reserves. But then what I did is I worked over here. If you look between 1 and 2, there are 6 differences. like for the Lee company has a Priest battery and a OP, so there's a difference. They use a rifle. They use a rifle platoon. Oh yeah, and the Shermans use a Ranger platoon. And then kind of how I got the last one. I got the Ironside command card for the Lees and a tank rating card for and so that made a difference there. And that's where I get my 6, which is well above 4. I think between 1 and 3, because I do have a Sherman in there. So I went a Lee HQ, Lee's, Sherman, and a whole bunch of stuff. There was only 5 between these two because there's a Sherman in the Lee company. 1 and 4 is 7, 1 and 8. 1 and 5 is 8 differences, and 1 versus 6 is 10. And I just went that way through there. Just without breaking a sweat, I was able to get 5 differences. Now, okay, so I can only guess what he's bringing. Not that he told us, but so Chris Fratz sends a text message to Andrew and I, right, about the lists he just put together. And I'll read his text here, okay? It doesn't give anything away because I still don't know what he's running. He says, 6 lists, and I need 120 teams to fill out all the lists. 7 gun teams, 34 infantry teams, 77 tanks, and 2 planes. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if he's complaining or bragging. It's like, okay. Yeah, he says 17 different unit cards to use in 6 lists. What do you think he's bragging? Or is he complaining? Anyway.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
That's like 1 year of Tom Burgess painting.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I was talking to Tom last night, and we were talking about a couple stuff. He says he's bringing 4 to 5 tank trays. That's the battle foam, So I'm surrounded. Matter of fact, there's my Tigers. I'm surrounded by battle foam. It's all behind me. It's all around me. That basically it's I'm using it as sound dampener. 4 to 5 tank trays, 2 to 3 infantry gun trays, and then of course the 2 planes in their tray. So that's a bag and a half. So
use one of those 720 bags.
Yeah. So that's just that's a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I'm working on my list. So I need to go and count there too, if we're going to be pulling out, measuring sticks to compare how heavy our bags are.
That's right.
Though I guess the one thing that came out of it, if you are traveling on a plane, good luck. I didn't know. So who put this together? It was I brought Dave Griffin out of retirement. His name came up when I was talking to Battlefront about it, about who we could get to come up with the format. And we said, hey, about Dave. I checked Dave. Hey, are you interested? And he was all over it. So he came up with this format. There you go. So my contribution to the whole thing is that I put together the invites. I collect the shirt sizes, and I also make sure that the plaque comes here. So let's go and let's see who got an invite. Well, actually, went through a lot of people. Got a lot of yeses. Some no. Some people couldn't make it because work commitments or stuff like that. Unfortunately, our Canadian player, it was just too much of a hassle just to come down for the weekend with, way Canada is. He would have loved to have been here. We would have loved to have him. So we were going through all these. These are the people that have committed, and have said they're coming, and I put the short order in last night. Battlefront confirmed that they got it, including the Team Yankee missing shirt for Charlie Clay. They put that one in there. So Charlie, if you're on here, your shirt is also in the mix. So let's take a look who said yes. On top of there is some young upstarter. And then Chris Fretz, Chris Jackson, James Copeland, William Brown. It's his first. John Meyer, it's his second. By the way, I'm gonna go through there. Okay, so John Meyer, Keith Gilmore, it's definitely not his first. James Best, Michael Cron, it is his first. Tom Burgess, it's not his first. Igor, it is his first. Tyson Swagger, it is his first Masters. Andrew, our guest. It's not. What's like you're a fourth or something?
Well, I've been invited 9 times. I think I missed 2.
Okay. Then James Best, Jr. John Zerbick. It's his first. I'm gonna skip 17 for a second. And Nathan, he played last year. He's going to be playing this year. So we got a father-son. We have 2 father-son combinations. So it was getting down to the nitty-gritty, and I had a slot open. So, Michael was that last year? Okay, so, that's right. Father-son were there last year. So with Ed, so what happened was last night, Tom Burgess and Ed Hall have a podcast they do for Flames of Warm Team Yankee that they do for No Dice No Glory. They record it at the beginning of the month, and they kind of release it mid towards end of month after they polish it up. So it's pre-recorded. They were recording last night, so I got a hold of Tom, found out they were recording, and they invited me on the show. So I'm on the show. It'd be about the last segment where they were talking about, that's right. Their last segment, my first segment is about upcoming tournaments. Their last segment is upcoming tournaments. So I get on the last segment, and so we're going to talk about upcoming tournaments, and we're kind of going through what I was going through there. And we get to Masters, and I start to name the people. Now it's a total audio environment, so there's no visual like we do have here. And so I was going through the list, and I said, Nathan, I said, but we have one last slot. And now the thing is, Ed has been trying extremely hard this season to get invited to Masters. As you know, Andrew, because he swims in the same waters as we do, and he was going to every tournament he can go to. He won. I think he won one, came in second in another, and he was just trying to find that another good score just to bump him up. And he was working really hard. But for some reason he was running like the 21st Panzer, which, we're trying to tell him not to do that. But sometimes you just got to let him make the mistakes, anyway, so we're all pulling for him, right? So when we get there, I'm like, hey guys, I'm still working on that 18 slot. And I said, Ed Hall, by the way, anyone who gets a invitation, it reads this way. It says, congratulations, you have been invited to play at Masters. And I said, Ed, congratulations, you've been invited to play at Masters. And you're going to have to listen to the broadcast to hear what he said and how he reacted. But let's just put
Was it clean?
It was very clean. Oh yeah, it's a very clean. Yeah, very clean. No, it was one of those things.
On the air, huh?
He cried, I cried. I mean, it was
Tom cried.
Yeah, Tom cried. But he's like, I told myself I wouldn't do this. So. Yeah. So, and
no, Tom's been in them from the beginning.
Well, I'll tell you about Tom. So this is the 10th anniversary. Did you know it's the 10th anniversary of Masters? It started in 2011. And the Tom was at the first. So now he's at the 10th. Matter of fact, Aaron MP also was at the first and the second, I think. So, matter of fact, Charlie Clay, people still play now. Charlie Clay was at the first. Dave Vigor was at the first. Chris Jackson was at.
Or was he overseas?
I think Jackson was there too. So yeah, it was, some of those people play. And there's a whole bunch that don't play anymore. My first one was in 2012. So I did the first tournament. Did the second tournament, and I've been invited ever since. So I've been at 9. So this will be my 9th green shirt. Matter of fact, I have one drawer now. It's just all green shirts. So just because that's how much room they take up. I don't have big dressers. So yeah, Flames of War Masters, the 10th anniversary, 2011 to 2021. So 10 years. So going strong. So for all those who are invited. The shirts have been, I gave the shirt sizes to Battlefront. They're going to be placed in an order for it. And, and the plaque, I got a notice from DHL that it was shipped out yesterday. So it's coming to my house via air and should be here next week. So that's good. Basically, they send me the front and then I do some word working because I have tools and I'm not afraid to use them, and I make the backing and everything to make it look nice. Obviously, you don't want to ship wood; it's just a lot of weight, so we just I just do it over here for them. But anyway, so yeah, so the thing is, my part is done. The shirts are in, the plaque's on its way. All I gotta do is make the back, and I'm good. I just gotta show up. So that's what's going on with that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about Masters?
I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit of a rush. They're going to be not a lot of time to practice with my lists, and there's probably going to be a lot of painting between now and then. Yeah,
there's some things. Well, because like Fretz was bragging, there's so many different units that you normally don't play with. Which, by the way I look at it, it gives you an opportunity to play with.
There's some SU-122s which have not hit the table yet, which are almost definitely going to be on the table.
Is that these the?
No, the ones with the real short howitzer.
It has a 5 armor.
Yeah, no machine gun.
No machine gun. Okay.
Yeah. I misspoke earlier. I think I've been invited 7 times, not 9. So.
Yeah.
I was doing the math after we talked.
Yeah. Well, I had to look to see how many how many masters there were. So I started looking in the archives. I should put something together, say, hey,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, put something together just to say, who's been invited, who won, kind of like save it for prosperity. So that way future generations can go, who were these geeks and what were they doing?
Why don't any of them have children?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have a kid. who handed me the beer? It wasn't Panzer Ghost, that's for sure.
Well-trained kid.
Before we go on, just want to talk about something that came up last week, which was, hey, what was I going to run for Advance the Colors? So I was going there Saturday for Late War, and I brought a Panzer IV list because someone, I got to look back to say, hey, why don't you do a Panzer IV list? And I said, oh, sure, why not? Oh, okay.
It was not good.
It was fine. The problem with it is that, first of all, no one respects the Panzer IV. Okay. Let's see here. I'm reading with the amount of new players, format, and returning masters, what are some of your concerns? What are some of the positives? And I'm looking forward to new players. Are there any games you dread? I dread matching up with Preston. Okay. Actually, we'll go back and forth with this one. The amount of new players, format, and returning masters, what are some of your concerns? Time. Because there's some shenanigans about how you're picking your list at the beginning, eating up, but we have 2 hours and 45 minutes to play, so I think that should be good. Tyson says he has 4 kids, by the way. Yeah, good. Tyson.
Breaking the mold.
Yeah, and he's coming to Masters. His first time. This one, matter of fact, do you have any concerns? I think it's just the list themselves. Oh, I know what I think what's going to happen is whatever nationality you pick, you'll probably have 2 really solid lists, and the other ones are going to be good.
You'll have 2, and then 2 that are kind of like, well, here's 8 Katyushas and 1 scout platoon and a platoon of KV-1s, and that's my whole list.
Yeah. Or, matter of fact, I was looking at a German list. It was all Stugs with those carriers that blow things up.
Ooh.
And basically it was stuff. It was HQ, 1 platoon, another platoon, the Bogworths or whatever those things are called, 2 sets of those, and a scout car, and that was like 84 points.
1, 2. The Bogworths is a card. Are they a unit or a card?
They're a unit.
Okay. Yeah. That's 3. If you don't have any scout cars in any others, it's 4 differences. But yeah, you're going to have.
Yeah.
It's going to be. I've decided I'm going to put the cards, Xerox the cards onto the back of all my lists, so I don't have to spend time looking for the correct cards.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there's going to be a scramble that first 15 minutes to get everything on your frets box. Right.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to have it. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, right? Especially the way Chris is bragging. Frets, that is.
You don't even know which
about how
bags
much stuff he has, how much you got to throw it out there. Basically, you got 15 minutes to go through all that, set up, and put it on the table and start playing, I think. What are some of your positives? Well, I think, I was on a phone call with Chris Jackson, and he was kind of giving me his reaction. I'll tell you, I'll kind of paraphrase what he was saying, and I concur. The thing about this format, it should break some people out of the comfort zones because the number of lists that you need to put together.
Yep.
If you're an infantry guy, you're going to eventually have to have a tank list. And if you're a tank guy, you're going to eventually have an infantry list. All right. So it's got, it'll break some people out of their comfort zones a little, which is, by the way, is, what Masters is supposed to be.
Yep.
Any games you dread? Yeah, there's a game I do dread. A draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to finish one way or the other. So I don't like draws.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm looking forward to getting a lot of new stuff on the table. Platoons that I generally won't run. Sort of the less cost-effective platoons. And then I'm basically just looking forward to playing a lot of good players because, a lot of these guys are my friends. And the few that I don't know, I'm sure, are good people. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go with, so for those people who are wondering about Advance the Colors. So I put together this Panzer IV list, and I was tempted to actually throw like a Tiger or some Panthers in here, but then I thought, well, it's not really a Panzer IV list, right? So I kept it straight up. So the headquarters, four Panther IVs, 4 and then 3, just because the way the points work. 2 things of then my support was SS Germans, scout cars, the cheap WEPs, and a observer. Then by the way, this is what saved my banking. The pack front. I went cheap with the assault front, flak. And then made them pack front. And then the only thing it allowed me to do is 5 infantry. And then I had to take all the Panzers and my Grenadiers, and I made them 116th. That's the only way you could do it. Now, so my first game, I get drawn up against an IS-2 company. He's got 3, 6, 7. He's got 8 IS-2s. No, I'm taking that back.
10.
No,
he had 3 groups of 3 and 1 in HQ.
Yeah, that's right. And then a thing of flame T-34 flame tanks and like 5 guys for tank riders. So he was kind of like me, except he's got he's got more vehicles than I do, and he's got better vehicles. So I'm looking at 10, 13, and he's looking at 10 IS-2s against my 13 Panzer IVs. Okay. Well, let's put it this way. A Panzer IV did not kill a single IS-2. Now, I greased the... by the way, we played Spearpoint. And so he started off the board pretty much the 2 sets of the IS-2s. He left one set of IS-2s in the backfield to guard his objectives, which I sent my recon and 5 infantry stands to go get an objective. My 88s were able to cap off a 1 IS-2 long range. Then, his opening move, he went first. So, my poor Panzer IVs are sitting there, gone to ground, concealed. He moves. He needs an 8. He rolls an 8, a 6 and a 6, and just pops one of them. I'm like, you got it. Is this how this game's going to go? This guy's dice were amazing because every time he got hit, he made a save. It was just except right when it was right at the end. This is how my game was going. My infantry moved up and were hiding some trees. I was going to do a whole, a close assault so he didn't get defensive fired. And then hopefully he'd blow his morale and move off the objective, and I could win the game that way. Because my recon was sitting within 4 inches of the objective, just and just hunkered down there, just waiting for something to happen. He decides that he's going to shoot at my guys, needing 5s. Six dice, 4 hits. And what do I do for saves? I blow all 4. It was like a 2-2-2-1. Boom. And of course, the last guy runs. That's just typical dice for me. But the way I won that game was the 188 that could see his 2 tanks sitting on the objective that my recon was sitting on. I threw 2 dice, got 2 6s, 2 hits, and he did me a favor. He rolled a 1 and a 2. No, or was it a 2 and a 3? Basically, it was 1 chance to kill, 1 chance to tie, dead, bailed, game. And that was right at the end. Otherwise, it would have been a 3. No, it would have been a 2-2. If that. Right. So, yeah, it would have been a 2-2. Yeah, pretty sad. So, but I got lucky. But Andrew, what did winning that game at a 7-2? What did I get for a prize?
Yeah, you got to play a Soviet Churchill list.
Right, played by
yours truly.
Yep, and we also had a fair fight. We were doing encounter.
Right.
I was trying to get across the board. It just wasn't happening. I think the only thing that was it true? The only thing that you feared was the pack front.
Right. Yeah, my Churchills were not going to respect your PZ4s. No.
And so we ended up with a 3-2 tie or something like that. So the I was just trying to find a way into the back, but I got a couple things across. But
recon was in my backfield.
Yeah, well, because you left the objective, and I was trying to go back to it, but anyway. But since they're hit on, their base hit on 3s, you were able to smoke them. So, that was fun. But the thing is that the pack front was protecting the objectives and Overwatch on things, and so you had to make choices. I don't think a Panzer IV list will work without the pack front, because then I was moving my Panzer IVs around, trying to support where I could, waiting for my reinforcements to come up, which unfortunately is 8 Panzer IVs, which is that is the main thrust of your company, of the force. Now, because of that tie,
your reward.
What was my reward?
Chris Fretz.
Right. I'm like, oh, humdinger. So I for some strange reason I was like in second or something like that. Oh no, I was tied with Christian Bach, but just played Chris. So Fretz and I played. Fretz was playing a tank, a D-Day infantry company. So he's loaded to the teeth. He's got bazookas. He's got veteran tank hunters. He's got the tank destroyers. He's got the 76 Shermans. He's got like 3 or 4 things of artillery. It's crazy what he has. He just has all this stuff, and because of the nature of the event, we both I was only limited to maneuver, so I played maneuver. Fretz played maneuver. We ended up playing.
Dust
Shoot.
stuff?
No, it's one of the new missions where you're I'm defending a little bit more than half of
Outflank.
outflank. That's it. We were playing outflank, and I ended up defending, which is like, I don't want to defend this. And so and by the way, the board was really open, but it was too open. Whereas if I put my tanks out there in the beginning, he could roll up somewhere and just blow them up. So I had to be very careful. And then he placed all his ranged in markers in places that I would ideally like to put some pack front. All right. So played it very smart. I did my best where I could put things. And what's this with at the end of the game? Now he's got 2 platoons of rifle, full rifles, all the bazookas. I don't know if the infantry had the MG teams. Also, he had the commies, the FFI, totally decked out. Bazookas, light machine gun, heavy machine gun, all the 9 yards, right? At the end, I blew away all that infantry except for 2 stands and the one I see. I think he was down to 3 tank destroyers and 2 76s, and that was what he had left for his attack. And I lost 1 tank platoon, and another one was at half. So I lost the 3. I had 2. I had 1 that was full strength at 4, and my 1 IC. Matter of fact, I lost the 2 IC also. I actually even lost my my Wesps. The thing was, it was a slobber knocker, and at the end, it was a 3-3 tie. I think maybe I had another turn. I could have pushed everyone out. There was 1 infantry stand left within 8 inches, and I just had to pop him. That was the 1 I see. Pop him, and then there would have been nothing within 8. But we ran out of time, as you can see, because he was rolling that many saves for infantry. Do you know how much machine guns come out of Panzer IVs? It's only 4 dice, but when you have so many, it's just mowing things down. But but he had to respect the pack front. Once again, no pack front, I would have just got ran over. What's this?
Hey,
Well,
got Atlanta.
Wish you didn't have to show your butt to the crowd. But anyway, so the thing about the Panzer IV is why you can play it. The problem is that you have to be you have to be pop and get out, because you can't take a hit, which means it's a really long game. You just can't roll up on someone, exchange some dice, and hope you come out on top. If you did that, the Panzer IVs just get toast every time, because most likely, even let's take a look. He had 5 Stuarts, 4 tank destroyers, and 4. So basically, he had 8 things of AT-12, and I have 13 AT-12, and and he has 3 full things of infantry with bazookas. And come to think about it, I think the bazookas did more damage than his tanks. But also I have Stuarts to deal with. Also have this, then the artillery. It's just one of those things. If it wasn't for the pack front, it wouldn't kept them at bay. But the problem is that you're dealing with so much more than what you have, that it just took me 5 turns just to get him down so that it blunted his attack. what ended up happening was there wasn't enough time for me to win the game, especially in defensive. Could I have done it as the attacker? I'm not too sure, especially with it being auto reserves and stuff like that. But anyway, so all right, enough about that. Wait. So Fretz ended up winning. Even with the tie, he ended up winning the tournament, which was an interesting one because the guy that was supposed to TO unfortunately had a quarantine and then asked Fretz to do it because Fretz was going to be there both days. He ended up TOing real quick, and it worked. It advanced the colors, which historically has always been the first tournament of the season because it's always in Springfield, Ohio, on the first weekend of October. So anyway, hopefully it was a little bit smaller than normal, and hopefully it starts getting back up to the size it was before. So that worked out. Did you have a good time?
I had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got to remember to double check my list before I put it on the table.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, I drew up the numbers wrong. So at the end of the day, I added up my forces after the tournament and realized I had put 114 points on the table in a 95-point tournament. So had a little phone call to Mr. Fretz and said, that result, we better change it.
Right. So now thinking about it, you had such a handicap playing against mine, which was interesting, Mm-hmm. But anyway,
I console myself that one more turn and I would have won the game.
You would have. I think. Yeah. Probably. If
I killed the West, it would have been over.
Yeah. You had to kill the West, which were hunkered down. Oh, anyway, let's talk about the subject at hand, which is escape.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Now we're going to talk about escape. Why don't you go ahead and start? I'm going to pull up your
my PowerPoint there.
Your PowerPoint. Yep.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a college professor because PowerPoint is my friend.
So
I used to hate it. I still hate it, but it's a useful tool. Okay, well, welcome to Escape. Escape is the one mission I don't think I have ever won. I've lost this thing 3 times in a row. So I am one of those, fortunately, who learns from my mistakes. So because of that, I know a lot about this mission now. So let's get started. Escape appears on a matrix for attack and maneuver. So you're going to have 2 relatively generally mobile forces involved in it. You have an ambush for the defender. This is another one of those missions where the defender moves first. So apparently I only do missions on this show where the defender gets to move first. The defender also has immediate reserves. Objectives go hot on turn 1, and if the defender can keep the attacker more than 8 inches from an objective after turn 6, they win. So that's a useful thing. Okay, let's talk advantages for the attacker. So the attacker, as often the case, begins with all of their. I'm on page 3. Yeah.
Okay.
The attacker begins, like as most missions, with all of their forces on the board. And oh boy, do they need it. The attacker can't spearhead towards the objectives because the deployment area is too close. There's only a 16-inch no man's land, so therefore you can't deploy. You can't spearhead forward. However, you can spearhead towards the back of the table. If you look at the map, you'll see there's a 12-inch no man's land at the back side of the table for the defender to bring their forces onto the table. So when the defender's reserves come on, they come on from the back side. So in theory, you could push your push a unit forward into that area to be an even better speed bump against the defender's reserves coming in. Objectives do go hot on turn 1. So if you can bum rush the show and just hit them as hard as you can early in the game before the reserves come in, it's possible that you can either claim an objective, you can get the objective before the defender's reserves can come in. But it's some distance from your attacker's deployment area. Attacker could theoretically assault on turn 1 if you are close enough. You have a 10-inch move, follow me, and now you're at 14 inches, and then you could assault another 4. That's 18 inches. So if the defender deploys too far forward, theoretically you could hit them pretty hard on turn 1. And they don't have minefields, so you don't have to worry about that. And finally, your artillery can pre-range in on the targets. So that's what the attacker has going for them. Next page, please. Beep. Again, it's like the old film strips from the day.
Yeah.
Okay, Defender. Defender has a lot of advantages here. So first one is ambush. So you can put an ambush down. The second thing is that you can move. The Defender moves first, and because this is not a meeting engagement, the Defender has the full rate of fire on their first turn. So in theory, if the attacker deploys right up along the edge of the deployment zone, the Defender could pop their ambush and lay into it before the attacker has a chance to move. That also means that the defender's reserves could be coming in before the attacker has a chance to move. So last time I played this game, I had Katyushas on the table, and they were deployed kind of far back. Turn 1, the defender gets reserves. They roll on, machine gun my Katyushas off the table, so my Katyushas never even had a chance to fire. It made me sad. The defender has a narrow front to defend. Instead of the 6-foot wide table, you're defending a 4-foot wide front. So you can pack your units in a little tighter and they have better interlocking fields of fire. As is usually the case, everything starts dug in, gone to ground, so the defender is in a pretty good condition with their infantry and guns. The big thing about this mission is the reserves are immediate reserves, and they come in from behind the attacker's deployment zone. So that's a real issue. The attacker has to know how to deal with a force coming in from behind them, which means your gun line is potentially going to have a lot of problems. So your artillery, you really have to think about how far forward you can deploy your artillery without being at risk of being destroyed by the units actually starting in the deployment area. And finally, the attacker cannot spearhead towards the objective. So they have to cover all of no man's land and the 8 inches of the defender's deployment zone before they even reach the objectives. So they have to cover a lot of ground. Next slide, please. Okay, so defender places first. So normally the defender is going to place it towards the center, place their objective towards the center of the objective deployment area. So that means that when the attacker places their objective, they can't be too far away from your objective. So potentially the same unit can cover both objectives if they're only 16 inches apart. So generally as a defender, you want to place it towards the rear of the objective deployment area, but place it towards the center. Now there are times when you look at the board and you say, okay, I can really hold my left side well. There's, let's say, lots of hedges and woods and things like that. That's easy for me to defend. So I would prefer the attacker place their objective there. That means I'm going to bias my objective towards the other side of the deployment area and sort of push it that way a little bit. So now the attacker has a choice. Do I place my objective close to the defender's objective, make it easy for them to cover both? Or do I place it far away but have to fight my way through some crappy terrain? Have to, or depending on what it is. If you've got a lot of infantry and there's like a bunch of houses or something sort of far back and your opponent has lots of HMGs, you don't want to go that way. Or they have a pack front, there's a nice ridge there. You don't want to go that way. So, maybe you do want to sort of fight your way through the terrain. So that's something you just have to respond to how the defender deploys their objective. Okay? And there's a lovely picture. So you can see, normally the little white box in the center of the objective area, that's sort of the normal defensive player's positioning right there. But like I said, if there's a side of the board that's very hard to defend, the defender may want to put their objective up near the top. of this diagram here. So that means the attacker is probably not going to want to put the other objective, their objective, down close to that. They're going to want to put it farther away, but then it means they're going to have to fight through the more difficult terrain. Now, this principle works in almost every objective or every mission where the defender places one, then the attacker places one. So, for example, No Retreat is a really good example of doing exactly that, where you sort of pick, where you want the defender to play or the attacker to place their objective, and maybe pull your objective a little further away just to give them some extra incentive to place that objective there. In general, the attacker always wants to keep the objectives as far apart as possible, so that the same unit cannot defend both objectives. Because really what you want to be able to do is pick one objective, go for it, and just overwhelm the defenders. And if they're far apart from each other, one forces defending one objective cannot help out the forces defending the other objective. And then, if you're Chris Fretz, you're going to roll one little recon unit up and just leave it near the objective you're not attacking, just to ensure that they can't pull their forces off of that objective. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so the attacker has a couple of options. The first one is you launch a massive attack on one of the objectives and attempt to overwhelm them before the defender's reserves come in. The problem with this approach is that the defender moves first. So if you deploy everybody along the start line, right along the front of your deployment area, you're going to take a lot of shots. So you have to sort of choose, am I willing to risk this, potentially crippling volley of fire from the defender, or do I deploy a little further back, but that delays me coming into contact with the enemy. It takes longer to get into close combat with them. So you have to make that choice. But this, I think, is still probably the attacker's best bet, is to hit them with a really strong force as quickly as possible. The second approach is you try to destroy the defender's reserves as they come onto the table, which, it doesn't seem like it should be that hard, especially if they're coming in one unit at a time. I deploy 2 or 3 units that have a lot of firepower, and as the defense units roll on, I can kill them. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. The problem is you have to be within 8 inches of the objective by turn 6. And really, because the defender moves first, that really means you have to be within 8 inches of the objective at the bottom of turn 5. Because you don't actually get a turn 6 if you're not within range of the objective. So remember, the defender moves first. Top of turn 6, you're not within 8 inches, it's game over. Yeah, so that's a very difficult proposal. I was toying with the idea that you could spearhead your unit forward, push it right up against the edge of the table, and dig in. So I was wondering if the rules prevent you from doing that. And what the rules state is that if you deploy too close to the edge for the opponent's forces to come on, they can have you move them back enough that they can deploy on the table. So you can't form a cordon of, it's like a massive Russian infantry blob all the way across the backside of the table to prevent them from entering. Because people are going to do that. But the rules specifically say that you can move the opponent's forces back enough so that you have an area to deploy. So really what the attacker has to think more about doing if they aren't going to try to destroy the defender's forces as they enter the table, what you have to do is be a speed bump. So what you need to do is look at the table and figure what's the quickest way for the defender to get across the table and put your units there. The other thing to remember as the attacker, when the defender's reserves come on, is that if you are within 8 inches of them, they can't dash. So you can slow them down. And that's your best bet, is to just keep somebody within 8 inches of the defender's reserves coming onto the table to keep them slowed down. And again, you're just going to look at the terrain. So if they've got a lot of tanks, maybe you can sort of push them into the woods, or push them if they have to cross a river or cross hedges or something where they have to take lots of cross checks. And they can't, they can only move terrain dash. Or if you can get within 8 inches of them, now they can only move tactical. So the idea is that you just keep slowing them down, and maybe also look for fire lanes. If they come in with, say, a bunch of Panthers whose guns have a 40-inch range, well, let's figure out where, if I can keep them in terrain where they don't get to take advantage of their long range, they will be sort of pinned, or not have shots at your attack in the rear of your attacking forces. But yes, you cannot put down a cordon of infantry to prevent the defender from bringing his reserves onto the table. And it doesn't even say that as long as you leave them room anywhere, they have to go there. They're not limited to it. They can go and come in wherever they want, and you have to move back off of that a little bit. So, like it says, you can't pull the epic dick move. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so you create a cordon of infantry to prevent the defender's reserves from dashing. As long as you're within 8 inches, they can't dash. They can try to blitz forward and then dash, but
you can't blitz and dash.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah, so never mind. Don't even have to worry about that. So just start with it. Just make sure that there's no place where they can move that doesn't have where there's not a place where there's an enemy. Boy, that's the strangest syntax ever. Always make sure you've got somebody within 8 inches of them so they can't dash. Shut down the roads and the open lanes for shooting. We talked about that. If you can sort of force them to move up behind woods and tall terrain, more power to you. And then finally, figure out where your artillery park, is going to go, and try to channel the reserves away from them, or use the artillery park to engage them. Okay, next slide, please. The attacker's artillery is a real problem, and there are some that do well in this mission. There are some that don't. So the problem with most artillery, especially guns, towed guns, is that they only have a forward arc fire. They can only shoot in one direction. So reserves coming from the rear can potentially come in and assault without them ever having any defensive fire. And then, of course, when they're hit, when they're assaulted and they lose, which is almost a guaranteed, they can't break off that far enough to not be destroyed. A lot of them will have maybe a 4-inch tactical, but they need to get out of 6 inches. So they lose. Mortars, Katyushas, and towed guns don't do well. Katyushas in particular are really sad because they can't dig in. So basically they get machine gunned, and I believe it's just a straight 4-up save.
It might be 5.
It might even be 5. It's bad. Yeah,
it's bad.
Katyushas just have problems in this mission. So what you have to do is sort of deploy them as close as possible to the, to the defender's deployment area, and hope that they can't get shot from there. But yeah, in general, not so great. But on the other hand, 88s and guns on turntable mounts are much better. So, for example, a pack front, if you can find a ridge or some sort of position where you can fire into the defender's deployment area and fire towards the rear, you're golden. 25-pounders. They are built for this mission. This is the one time where 25-pounders are like the greatest thing ever, because they have a turntable and they can bombard, which is awesome. But at the other hand, if you get into a direct fire fight with them, they're rate of fire too. That's why there's so many points. I think they're 14 points in late war for 4. I think that's correct. Which compared to, but then you can get, priests for 16. So why would you take the 25-pounders? Well, this is why. If you're prescient and you can feel ambition, a game of escape coming on, take the 25-pounders, because they are good anti-tank guns. They're decent artillery. So there you go. So next slide. There you go. Yep. The one time. The 25-pounders are the best unit in the game.
Yeah.
That's right. It's my Troy McClure line there.
Right.
You'll be playing the human. That's the part I was born to play. Yep.
I hate you all from Chimpan A to Chimpanzee.
Yep.
Oh, it was Earth all along.
That's right.
Yeah,
I love you, doctors. Yeah, that's right. Nobody here is expecting a Simpsons musical.
Yeah.
Okay, so the defender. What to do if you're the defender? Well, you pretty much know what the attacker is going to do. Well, you hope. So really, your main job is to keep, defend the objectives and keep the attacker out of 8 inches, because that's probably the easiest way to win. But you have to put your best attacking units in reserve. So that may be your best firepower, your best shooting units. But you need something that can get into the fight as quickly as possible. You want something that can move forward very quickly. It's not like the good old days of version 3 when reserves were just, put half your units in reserve. You'd put all your crappy little recon jeeps and two gun mortar batteries in reserve, and then have all your King Tigers on the table. Now, with it being 40% of your points, it's going to probably be something that has a lot of punch, and you're probably going to want to put sort of the big point units there so that your reserves are all on the table as quickly as possible. Infantry is not a good option for the reserves in this mission because the fight is not near the deployment area. So it takes the infantry a really long time to get into the fight. And if the attacker's really mobile, they're going to be in the defender's deployment area very quickly. So the if you're the defender and you're putting your infantry in reserve, it's probably not going to come into the fight. It might be able to take out the gun line, but probably not. So, medium armor is really good. Recon units can be effective. Panthers are like built for this mission for coming out of reserve because, they've got enough armor to survive whatever the attackers have got lying in wait for them. Plus their gun is a 40-inch range. They can reach out and touch somebody really effectively. And there are a lot of points. You can put, 5 Panthers is, late war is like 40 some points. So that's your entire reserve in one unit. And who knows, you get lucky. It's on the table in turn 1, shooting the attacker as they're poised, gunning your engines, ready to come into the attack. And then suddenly, you're getting 75, long 75 rounds up your tailpipe of your IS-2s.
One can only dream.
I've had that happen to me. I did not enjoy the experience. Kind of soured me on IS-2s. Although after your bat rep, I think I'm going to go back and give them another look.
Yeah.
I think they could do good things. Okay. So as a defender, you want the stuff that can get into the fight as quickly as possible coming out of reserve. So things with long range, things with speed. That's what you want. Things that can do damage quickly. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here's a trick, though. If the attackers decided to keep a big chunk of their force back to destroy your reserves, maybe bring your crap units in first. It's like, oh, you're waiting for me to bring my my 7 T-34 platoon on, and you've got a bunch of 88s pointed backwards, or you've got your Panthers pointed, everybody aiming towards the rear of the table. Here comes my BA-10s. And the reason you want to do that is that for every turn that they're sitting there waiting for your reserves to come on the table, that's a turn they're not attacking towards the objective. Remember, you're going to win as a defender if they don't get within 8 inches of the objective by turn 6. So by tying these units down that are waiting to destroy your reserves, just by not bringing in the good units until the very end to absolutely have to, that's a really useful way to ensure that the attacker just simply cannot get enough forces on the table to seize the objective. So that's one of the cases where, okay, I'm going to bring in my, my trash. I'm going to bring in my armored mortars. Well, they're not trash. Chris has probably just got gray hairs on that sentence. So holding your good stuff back as long as possible is the way to go. I've had it happen to me. I didn't like it. And then at some point I had to pivot and then send all my guys dashing off to try to seize the objective before turn 5. But by then it was too late. And then, of course, this big unit came in and shot them all in the butt. So
the thing you were trying to avoid.
Exactly. So I, as a general rule, I do not recommend that as a strategy. You may have a list that has a lot. Say you've got a bunch of infantry platoons, though. Yes, take one, put into a cordon along the back side of the table. Just be a speed bump. Don't destroy them, just slow them down, and meanwhile send everything else towards the objectives. All right, next page. Yeah, the other thing you can do is you can use a smaller unit to kind of punch a hole through whatever that defensive cordon is, and then next turn if you're lucky, you can then dash them onto the table, and they won't have to be within 8 inches of the attacker's units, which you're trying to plug the gap. Yeah, if you can hit the artillery park, that's really useful. And if you can hit it in such a way that the attacker pulls units back to protect it, that's even better. So, you know, the artillery park, going after the artillery park is going to definitely get the attacker to pay attention to what's happening in the rear area and take their minds off of what they're doing to them in the front, what they're trying to take the objective. Yeah, if you're pulling forces away from your main attack, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it may be a case of that you just put your artillery somewhere where it's just going to be kind of hard for the reserves to hit it, and hope that they spend their time curb stomping your artillery and not going after your forces that are actually moving forward in the attack. So it's almost like bait. Doesn't go well. I think we have one more slide. Is that right? 15 out of 15? Yep. Okay. So yeah, list building is going to be critical. Now, obviously, you don't know you're going to play this mission, so I wouldn't recommend, you know, go buying a bunch of 25-pounders unless your opponent. You always know your opponent's going to pick maneuver, and you want to pick attack every time. But you will definitely want to have, for the attacker, you want to have, you know, the ability to seize the objective, a good assaulting force, so heavy armor, sappers, good overwatch, the ability to fire smoke. Mobile artillery, which is really useful because it can actually defend itself if the defender's reserves come at you, because you can just turn it. You may lose your full rate of fire, or you may be firing a +1, but at least you have a chance to defend yourself, or you don't have to lose your entrenched status if you want to rotate. Obviously, if you can have guns with 360-degree arc of fire, that's going to be much better. So again, 25-pounders and 88s in particular. Or some other anti-aircraft guns have like Bofors, although I don't know why you'd want to deploy your Bofors too far back. Yeah, and the attacker, just, you know, towed guns and mortars are just basically free points for the defender. Because if you move them too far forward, they get killed by the units in the defense deployment area. If they stay too far back, they get killed by the reserves. There's not much you can do to keep them alive. Okay. So the defender, you want to have one good attacking unit that's fast and or has a long-range gun. That's the big thing. You want a good ambush unit. Doesn't have to be great, but, you know, a nice ambush is always a good thing to have. And then finally, forces that can hold the objective. So infantry, anti-tank guns, stuff like that. So, like I said, you can't predict that you're going to play this mission when you're using the Matrix, but if you can avoid it by picking defend, not that I would recommend that, but there are definitely units which are not going to do well, and maybe, you know, try to avoid towed guns and mortars unless you have, you know, if there's a better alternative. So, and like I said, that's just hard to predict. So it's very hard to build a list specifically for this mission, because this mission is quite different than a lot of other missions. Because there's really no other mission I can think of where the defender can come slamming into your rear area.
Well, there's the one mission where it could come from the side, but that's delayed, and that's kind of a weaker.
Oh, was that Killing Ground?
No,
Dogfight.
Maybe it's Dogfight.
Maybe it's Dogfight. Yeah, but even then, you're still in their deployment area. The attacker is in their deployment area. So
right.
So yes, they have the potential to hurt you, but they're not going to be behind your gun line.
No, it is Dogfight.
So you will be engaging them the turn they move in, but that's also where your main attack force is. Versus if they're coming in all the way from behind you, where it can end very badly very quickly. Yeah, like I said, I have not won this game yet. I've attacked it and defended.
Oh, I have tacked once. I've not defended, and I was 100% mobile.
Okay.
And what I did is, basically, anything that could really hurt me was in reserves. So it was like a lot of infantry defending. So not much on my opponent's first turn, but my first turn, I moved everything forward, found a spot where my martyrs were on a side of a hill.
Mhm.
And so when his reserves came in, I blitzed to the hill because I moved. I blitzed to the hill, shot what I shot, destroyed a lot of things. When able to come back down off the hill, kind of just rinse, repeat twice, and that was pretty much the end of a Valentine, Russian Valentine, thing. So, yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Right.
But yeah, I was able to, I was playing a German recon mid-war. So moved in, got in there pretty fast, had the Ferdinand was messing around with some KVs. So how that goes for KVs.
They don't like birdies.
Yeah. So it was interesting.
I mean, you can do kind of the old trick that was the mission Surrounded, where you would deploy in the center of the board and the opponents would start on each end. The trick was you take your artillery and you'd put it along the edges of the table, so the entire table was in the forward arc of the gun. But once they rotate it to fire, then they've committed to one side of the table or the other. But you could do something like that. Maybe.
Right.
So, but again, once you start shooting, you're going to rotate towards the objective or towards your target, and then you've sort of committed yourself to a side. But for turn one, like I said, the defender moves first. Maybe that's not the worst situation in the world.
Exactly.
It makes the pack front look pretty good. You just put one or two guns back and the other two up in an overwatch position, overwatching the attack. That can be pretty effective. Especially if you know that defenders put like T-34s or something in their reserve. Something that's fast but very crunchy.
Exactly. Okay.
So there you go. That's Escape.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think of all the No Retreat knockoffs, it's probably the best one.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough one.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind playing it again. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Have a tournament where you only play No Retreat. Or,
yeah. I don't know how many times I've done that.
Have to build the list that caters to it.
Yeah. It's like one way or the other. But yeah, attacking or defending is an interesting one.
Yeah, I think this one is biased. Well, I don't want to say biased towards the defender, but so far I've found that the defender seems to have a lot of advantages that are kind of hard to overcome, especially moving first in the immediate reserves.
Right. So let's I think let me get that back. I was switching back to the original. There we go. So let's get our what have we learned today? Anne, have you learned anything?
That Ed was surprised when you offered him Masters.
Yes, he was. He was very surprised. Yes, tears of joy.
I'll have to go listen to that.
You know what actually kind of remind me of? It was like the end of Officer and a Gentleman. I came in there.
No.
There you get out. Ed's kind of heavy though. I think he weighs a little more than Deborah Winger.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm
you got your dress master shirt on.
Do you remember the song that was playing?
Was it "Take My Breath Away"?
No.
Oh wait.
It was up on
up
where we belong, which is really up on Eagle's Wings.
Yeah.
Lift us up where we belong. Was it Joe Cocker? Yeah.
Love lifts us up where we belong.
Sure, we'll
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. on
So
a
Tom's gonna mix that in.
mountainside. He was doing it was a duet, you know. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. And as we're walking out, you know, Tom's there. He's clapping,
Clapping.
you know, and you know my New York fire, you know, my New York City fire cap. He takes it off, put it on his head. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was heartwarming.
It was very heartwarming. But you know, glad I could do that. Andrew, did you learn anything?
Yeah, I'm very happy Ed's making it to
Yeah.
Masters. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. Learned that.
Can you hear thunder out there?
Yeah, good.
Is it thundering where you are, Andy?
Yeah, I just heard it.
Yeah.
I learned that it's raining.
Patrick learned. I learned that kids are good to have when they bring you a beer. The amount of beer that I brought my father was ridiculous. You know what? I'm surprised no one came back and asked me for my union dues. Okay. Yeah. And my dad drank Strolls. I don't know why.
I don't know that actually counts as beer.
Well, that's what he drank. And matter of fact, that's where we had a second refrigerator in the garage. And that refrigerator was the beer fridge. So, yeah.
Yeah. We
Anyway.
used to say when you're down to Schlitz, you're out of beer.
Let's see. Did I learn anything? I know I did. Is it, you know, gonna come up? Anyone else that's hanging out here learn anything new today? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yep, a beer fridge. Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, our beer fridge. I don't know where my dad got it, but it was so old. It actually had a lock on it. You know, the ones where you didn't want kids to get in because it would lock on them. That's how old that refrigerator was. So the
but those things lived forever.
They did. And matter of fact, I think they could take a nuclear blast too, as Indiana Jones showed us.
Or stop a bullet like they did on Monk.
Yeah, I don't think they're that tough. Anyone else out there? Hey, by the way, if you like what we, you know, if you're still on here, you're most likely a member of our Facebook community. Matter of fact, I'm gonna jump over there now and see how many members we have, because it's getting up there. We have on a mountainside. We have 495 people who follow us.
Wow, good job.
Wow, I know. And matter of fact, and it's
just 5 more, and we'll get 500.
500, which you know what that gets you?
Nothing.
That 350 in that, and gets you your coffee. No, it was at the fridge I just had replaced. No, that's not the refrigerator I just replaced. What was that? We had a Whirlpool, and we replaced it with the only thing that was of. We have a dark kitchen, and we have black appliances, and so the only thing that they had in stock that was black was the Samsung. So we went with the Samsung, and which is long story about the delivery of that. Because it never made it in the house. I had to bring it in the house myself because the delivery driver
tried to start a fight with you.
Yeah, was a jerk, and you know we almost went to fisticuffs. It was interesting. He was very belligerent. And I don't know what I say. Yeah. Well, I think I at some point I said, "If you're man enough" or something like that. It was these are always good words. You know.
Well, in the middle of our game when you said that was pretty bad.
Actually,
We did have something.
I did say that. If you're man enough, I think if you have the kahunas,
That's right.
that was when you took your Panthers.
Right at
You
your
took your
pack
Panthers out to go pop a.
And Anders, don't ever ask me if I'm man enough.
Yeah. Well, okay, hold on. Here's the silliness of this. He moves the Panthers forward, and I think you only need a 5 to hit the pack front gun.
Maybe even needed a 4. Yeah, I probably needed a 5.
Yeah. I know they didn't fire because there was nothing to fire. You managed to hit, and I managed to save.
Right.
Okay. So I'm thinking, all right, pack front Panthers right there, man, drawing a bead, and I have 3 Panzer IVs sitting there looking at them too, right? I need 3s to hit, right? I'm just looking for a 3 on a 6-sided die. No, I think I rolled like a 1 and a 2, totally whiffed. And then I had 4 shots because one of the Panzer IVs moved. No, I'm sorry, one did not move. The other 2 moved.
Right.
4 shots. I got 3 hits. I'm like, okay. And Andrew did me a huge favor.
1-1-2.
1-1-2. Yeah. Dead bailed.
Yeah.
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 So, and I'm like, the Panzer IVs are looking at the pack front. See, that's how that's done.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
that scarred my psyche.
Yeah, that was like turn 2 or something like that. No,
It was pretty early in the game. I think it was.
Yeah.
But it was early because your reserves weren't on yet. I figured if I knocked a pack front, I could just roll my Panthers around the flank, and there was nothing else there.
nothing else there. It was just those
Yeah.
Panzer IIIs.
That's right. I think I said if you want to be a hero, you got to be here. So I
Yep.
moved up and
Yeah.
whiffed.
Anyway, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, everybody,
Stewards.
everyone who's on here, thank you. Make sure you hit the like button or the thumbs up button. It helps with it does something with the logarithm. So, there's 7 of you. You might as well hit it now. Be nice to see 7 thumbs up for the 7 people who are still on. And then everyone who watches this later, if you can also hit the thumbs up button, it does help the logarithm. And if you're not following us, you can follow us here, YouTube, in Twitch. I think I got 4 people on Twitch.
What?
Twitch is for the young. Anyway, follow us. I will be back on next week. I think Fretz is next week, and we're doing Spear Point and
We did Spear. I've already done Spear Point.
oh no, Scouts Out.
Oh, right. He wanted to compare Scouts Out and Dust Up.
Yes, a contrast
They're
and
not the
compare.
same.
Yep. There's similarities and differences. In
Yep.
contrast and compare, it's almost like a junior high school term paper. So
So you have to have a semicolon in the
Yeah.
term. Yeah. And historical.
Andrew, you know what? We can't go too far. You know why?
I think there's some poetry.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to do poetry.
Yes, we are going to do
We've
poetry.
been on for how long now, and you want to do poetry?
Well, it's because people are turning in and they want to hear the melodic tones of Panzer Ghost reading poetry. So, if you may, and I believe the conversation now we moved on to in the book is angle of deflection.
Yes.
So, talking about range, because we were talking about ranging. This little section is about angle of deflection. And if you're wondering what, hey, Charlie, if you're wondering what we're referring to, we are reading the Panzer Fable, which is the training manual for the World War II Panther. That was written 43, 44, and it would train new tankers. And in the new tankers, they wrote everything in rhyme. The Bevington Tank Museum had a copy, changed it to English, and also kept it in rhyme. I was part of the GoFundMe, the original GoFundMe, so I got my copy, and we're just going to read a page or whatever you want and actually end. And of course, we got Panzer Ghost to come on in and read it for us. So if you would amuse us, we're doing Poetry Corner, read by Panzer Ghost.
Okay. All right. So let me see. I haven't had too much beer, so now I think I can beat this. Back in the year that, the good old days indeed, when the tempestuous Kaiser was Gottfried, when August the cast iron ruled the roost, it was great fun. The campaigns were introduced. They shot with cannons and the fiery Greta. Now they're in the armory, antiques no better. From canvas sacks you put the powder in, then stick the cannonball down within. The field commander checks through his scope the enemy's layout, if there's any hope. And so fire is started, setting off the flint. Mostly it's all over after an hour's stint. With loud cracks and bangs, the cannonball showers. Stockmeister gazes at this for hours. Berthold the Black, a monk who pioneered this gunpowder that today is revered. But the shot has much little speed. Baron Munchausen can hop on indeed, onto the ball, straight out of the barrel. Yes, that was possible. There was no peril. It didn't run straight. The trajectory was terrible. Gravity pulled it down. It's so unbearable. Not a surprise then, a very slow flight. Elongated, slow, takes about a fortnight to go to the heavens, into the atmosphere. Getting battered or dented was a great fear. The terrifying lass was reduced to tears, but she's a buxom gal, no problems there. Cannonballs, well, they're rather curvy. Air resistance sends them a bit topsy-turvy. The force against it compresses its path, and all in one go, I'll show you the maths. And he has a diagram here. You want to show the diagram?
Yeah, show the diagram. Okay, show the diagram. Let me.
I read the first page. There.
So wow, who thought the Nazis would make inappropriate comments?
Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about trajectory.
Do you want me to read the second page or no?
Oh, you're almost done.
Almost. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, second page. As you can see, they go in an arc. They trail from above to hit their mark. See the interconnected telegraph poles, one after another playing their roles. With 100 meters in between them, the range you'll grasp more than rule of thumb. Then, whether a target's down or low or high, nothing else works. You must measure and verify. You'll hit the targets easier when they're lying low, but later on, they can be higher up, though. Use your sights. A direct hit will only come from accurately measuring it. With errors, a shot will just drop short, giving your enemy only mild discord. Even in the Holy Roman Empire, using sights and range was still required. That's all.
There you go, folks. Thank you, Panzer Ghost. Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ann, you, my gosh, I wonder what you're going to play us out to.
Oh, wow. In honor of Panzer Ghost, I found another beer song.
There you go.
I was thinking it'd be that Rupert Holmes song.
Do you have a translation on this one?
I don't.
I wonder what the subject of the song is about.
Funeral beers.
That's it.
That's it. Everyone, until next week, have a safe and happy, healthy one.